Okay. My other videos seem to have been getting really, really long lately. I'm always rushing at the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to hopefully make this one a lot shorter. I've been meaning to put this up earlier, but I've been busy and things have been coming up, so this might seem a little bit dated, but it's not too dated. Let me get on with this so this can be short. I'm sure you guys have heard, if you've been paying attention to the news, about the recent decision that the Supreme Court has made concerning gun bans in cities. Basically, they were discussing the gun ban in Washington, D.C., and the Supreme Court had considered gun bans to be unconstitutional. So the gun ban in Washington, D.C. is lifted, so now people are going to be able to buy pistols there. This, of course, has sent a ripple effect throughout the country. I'm pretty sure, as you can tell, certain camps are happy about it, in favor of it, and other camps are in an uproar or terrified of what this might mean. A lot of cities are going crazy over it. One of them is Chicago, which I happen to live nearby, and it's also it's a city that has a gun ban, and when they heard about this, people were freaking out, worried that their gun ban was going to be lifted in light of this decision. Recently, this Friday, one of the newspapers there, the Chicago Sun-Times, even put an article about it. You see, Back to the Old West is what they called it. And, I mean, that should just give you an idea of their stance on this all, back to the Old West. So they're fearing that there's going to be, people blasting each other in the street and all that. And it's interesting because this paper in particular has been doing a lot of articles and exposés on the gun violence that's been happening in Chicago. Chicago's had a heavy history of gun violence throughout the years. It's nothing new. I mean, from Prohibition all the way on, this has been a gun town, and recently the focus has been given more toward gang violence. A lot of children are getting shot in the streets through, bullets flying and, get youth gangs going around blasting other kids, or worse, kids caught in the crossfire and all that. So this has been getting a lot of attention. And now with the gun ban going on, a lot of people are fearing that this is going to lead to even more violence. People are freaking out. The mayor here has even vowed to try to fight this decision and try to keep the gun ban in there. It just goes to show you how heavy this is. Now, before I give my opinion on all this, let me just clear something up real quick. I have no affiliation whatsoever with any political party, Republican, Democrat. I don't care about any of them because really both of them have sold this country out. Both of them can't be trusted. I'm not in the Green Party, I'm not a heavy liberal, I'm not a heavy conservative. I don't affiliate myself with any particular ideal or whatever. I mean, if you want to give a title on me, call it radical politics, because I notice that my views tend to fly in the face of just about everybody I come across. So with that said, this is just my opinion. Why is this such a big deal? Honestly, if you think about it, if you actually look at the issues involved, why is this freaking everyone out? If you look at the Supreme Court decision, what it boils down to is this. This is really all the decision is stating. It is against the Constitution to ban an American citizen from having the choice of getting a weapon or not. That's it. That's what it boils down to. A gun ban is basically telling people you do not have a choice in the matter. You cannot get a weapon for yourself. Now, I know there are other countries out there that have these type of bans. Japan, for instance, can't have a gun. There are certain European countries, you can't have a gun. And liberals use this and cite, look at the lack of violence in those particular cities. They have no guns, there's no gun violence. Simple, tells the story. That's their argument. But they forget about places like, say, Switzerland, where just about everybody and their mother has a gun, and they also have a low crime rate. The NRA and certain gun nuts like you citing that as an example, just to show you the back and forth that's going on. But that is a good example. They have a history. Switzerland is a country that has a heavy gun culture, super duper heavy gun culture. When you reach the age of 18, you're automatically drafted into it's in the law. You have to be in the militia, and they teach you how to fire an automatic weapon, rifles, not just pistols, but rifles as well. If you're a man, you have to go through this. And once you reach around age 30, I forgot the exact age, but around 30, 31, 32, you can leave the militia if you want, and you get to keep the rifle. They take out the automatic firing capabilities, so it becomes a semi-automatic, but you get to keep the rifle. If you're a woman, you do not have to do it. It's not mandatory for you, but it's heavily encouraged. And in fact, many women do get firearms. And you're also allowed to buy pistols and all that. Hardly any gun violence there. Now, of course, there are other factors involved, such as, lack of poverty, and they don't really have that many clash of cultures going in there, but it's just an interesting example. But it's a point that I'm trying to make, that you can't just simply cite, well, look at this place, they have no guns and they got no violence, because here's a place full of guns and they got no violence either. It's not cut and dry. But despite those facts, they're still pushing for some type of gun ban, and their whole logical argument is, well, their logic is, well, if there's no guns, there can't be any gun violence. That's the reason why they want to keep these bans in place. And they keep citing all these other countries, look at this, look at that, despite the fact that, you got other examples against it. Well, look, I can understand the argument of if there's no guns, there's no gun violence. I mean, you need the guns, but come on. I mean, if somebody wants to kill somebody, they're going to find a way to do it, gun bans or not. Which kind of leads into the main thing that's been bothering me about this whole argument for gun bans. And it's the one thing that it seems people arguing for this just can't seem to get in their heads. Gun bans don't work. The criminals have no problems whatsoever in getting their hands on a weapon despite a gun ban. They're going to get their guns through illegal means. I mean, that's why they're criminals. They don't do things that are in the law. If you put a gun ban in place, the only people you're stopping from getting weapons are the law-abiding citizens. The criminals are going to keep on getting their guns any way they can. To the black market. They happen to know a friend of a friend. They, unfortunately, they might kill a cop and take his gun. Well, I don't know if it's unfortunate. That's another argument. But yeah, they're going to kill a cop, get his gun. They might steal a cache of guns, whatever. And then they use it on the populace, or they use it against each other, causing gun violence in the streets like we see all over the place. And something else that has been cited over and over again, that once again these gun ban champions never seem to really pay attention to, all the places that got a gun ban have gun violence. Consistent gun violence. Catastrophic gun violence. Let's take a look at Chicago. Like, I already gave you guys a newspaper clippings and all that. There's been a history of gun violence here. Big gun ban in effect. It's not stopping them. To the point where we got like newspaper articles lamenting gun violence. New York City, where I'm from, major history of gun violence there. LA, major history of gun violence there. Let's take Washington, D.C., which this Supreme Court decision affects, where they were lifting the ban. Major history. Like, if you've been paying attention, that's one of the heaviest gun violence places around. Which is kind of funny if you think about it. This is the nation's capital. You got, like, the big wig law guys and the law-making people, the rulers of this country. That's where they are. That's where they make the rules. It's supposed to be the symbol of this country. And yet they have a major history of gun violence and crime down there, which they are unwilling or unable to do anything about. Interesting metaphor. I think it's an apt metaphor for this country. A good symbol, but let's go into something else. This is a different story. But bottom line is, these gun bans just don't seem to work. We can't seem to stop gun violence through gun bans. They don't work at all. And anyone who's championing for the choice to have guns, whether it's a gun nut, whether it's the NRA, whatever, they've been using this argument effectively against liberals for years. And it's true. Gun bans don't work. All they do is stop citizens from getting guns. Criminals got no problem getting it. So what exactly are you stopping with a gun ban? All you're basically saying with it is the citizen doesn't have a right to have a choice of weapon that they want to get. You're denying them the choice to have a weapon. Criminals will just simply do whatever they want, and you're denying the citizen from getting a weapon. Explain that to me. And all the Supreme Court is saying is, you can't do that. According to our list of rules here, the Constitution, the laws of this land, people have a choice of getting a gun. You can't have a gun ban in effect because you're denying them their right to have a weapon. That's all they said. They were basically saying, according to this list of rules, the person has the right to choose. The Supreme Court did not say, listen, we're lifting this gun ban and we want everybody to buy a gun now. And we want everybody to start shooting people in the streets. They didn't say that. They just simply said, you have a right to choose. Do you want to get a weapon or not? Now, if you don't want to get a weapon, don't get one. Simple, tells the story. If you do want to get a weapon, you have a right to have one. Within limits, of course. That's all they're saying. If you really want to curb gun violence, what you really need to do is be a lot more effective in keeping these guns from getting into the wrong hands. Which, if you look at the way this country's been running and how they're doing the laws, they don't seem to be particularly interested in doing. Drugs, they make illegal, but yet any fool can get their hands on them. guns, they put gun bans, but yet it doesn't stop the criminals from getting the guns. And considering the way this country is run, the fact that we have illegal wiretapping going on, the fact that if this country really wants to find somebody, they can. If they really wanted to do anything to stop this, they would have by now, but they're not. That should give you pause to think. Bottom line, gun bans don't work. I don't know what the uproar is about. You really need to be going at this in a different direction for those who are boo-hooing about it. Once again, it's gone too long. Sorry about that, but I hope it was interesting for you people, and comment if you can. See ya.